and welcome to the season 4 recap for the Top Cyber Pro podcast. Since I've taken over recording for the podcast as the host of the podcast, I've had just wonderful experiences, wonderful discussions, wonderful conversations with several what I call level 99 experts throughout cybersecurity, and it's just wonderful conversations that lead into great insights and perspectives, both from their career as well as their expertise in the industry. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful experience to talk to all these wonderful experts. So I just want to take a moment before we go into season 5, because season 5 is amazing, folks. I know I'm going to say that about every current season, but just the response that I've been getting has been wonderful with everyone just watching the episodes and learning something from them, because that's really what the goal is at the end of the day, to take something away, learn something that you didn't know before, and to use it in your career or to be inspired to enter a different facet of cybersecurity, because it's not all just hacking and pen testing. There's so many ways to get into cyber, and you'll hear me say throughout several episodes, if you could read and comprehend, you could do cybersecurity. And I'm happy to have now reached season 5. But before we get into season 5, let's just do a recap. I just want to share my screen here and do a recap of where we've come. And so I'm going to jump all the way down to the end here. So the end of our season 3 is we had Jay Bavisi, who is the CEO and founder of EC Council, and it was a wonderful closing to season 3. But we hit the ground running. We had Dr. Deanna Caputo from MITRE talk about the insider threat research that she does with MITRE, and just a phenomenal conversation. We followed up immediately with we had Dr. Jeff Krum from Distinguished Engineer from IBM. He has a wonderful YouTube channel, so if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, check out this video and check out the description. Wonderful gentleman, full of knowledge, just a wealth of information. It was a great conversation, and we just kept it going. We had several great guests here in a row. We had Professor Rashid talk about hactronics and the cyber body of knowledge. Another great conversation right there is OT ICS SCADA, which a lot of folks is one of those top 10 buzzwords in cyber and IT. But we had Mike Holcomb talk about it, had a wonderful discussion with him. Always a wonderful person to talk to, Dr. Joe Perez, data, data, data. So we talked about, data, where it is, what you do with it, where it flows from, and how to secure it. Then Justin Hutchins was another great. I mean, every guest has an insight and something unique to offer as we went through the seasons. And then we continued on with Ryan Chapman talking about digital forensics and threat hunting. He actually teaches a class for SANS, GAIAC SANS, but he's a SANS instructor and teaches a class. Super knowledgeable gentleman. Thomas Rokia, threat hunting. We went on to another wonderful conversation. Oh, the return of Irfan Tigzan, talking about open source intelligence and his grand manifesto. This gentleman is just a brilliant young man, doing great things in the world of open source intelligence, and had him on again. If you don't recall, I believe it was season 2 that we had him, his original episode. It was a mind blowing conversation, and to have him back was always a pleasure. And then we followed that up with Andy Jenkinson talking about DNS, PKI, Internet Asset Security. Again, a phenomenal insight into a huge vulnerability that so many organizations and businesses have. And no one's listening to this gentleman, but hey, people should start listening to Andy Jenkinson when it comes to DNS security. This gentleman has been trying to fight the good fight, and I only wish more and more people. So if you want to just check out that, if you got a website, if your business has a website, I implore you to listen to this gentleman, at least do the checks for these vulnerabilities that he's bringing to light, that he's trying to shout from the rooftops to get more people aware of these things that can be solved simply as long as you're aware that these vulnerabilities exist. So another phenomenal episode with Andy Jenkinson. And then again, another phenomenal episode. Each one just keeps getting better and better. We had the creator of Zero Trust, John Kindervaj, on talking about the strategies and approaches and just the perspective of Zero Trust. It kind of, demystifying some of the press that's out there on ZTA and zero trust architecture, and hearing it directly from the creator himself was a good thing to hear. We had Monica Verma talking about a security leadership masterclass, and this is what I really liked about last season. Is right here is quantum security, quantum random number generators, post quantum cryptography. We started talking more quantum because I, for one, got really tired of like every conference, like 8 out of 10 topic agendas at most cybersecurity conferences was AI focused or had a AI mention in it. And I wanted to start seeing more quantum. And so I really started to focus on the end of last season to having more guests on that had work around quantum. So I had a lot less AI, more quantum. And so we had Zinnia on, a wonderful conversation with her. The skip ahead, we had some other quantum guests here. We had Skip Sanziri on as a quantum expert and a co-founder of Q Secure. So had him on. We also had Anna Hedegaard on talking quantum security defense. They have wonderful training. If you haven't checked out QSecDef and their training, a wonderful platform. And then one of the most highly viewed episodes of last season was the second to last episode of the season, Quantum Computing 101 with Katanya Kunz. And what a wonderful discussion. It was such a wonderful discussion. She shared some insights and training. She provided a lot of great foundational information. And then she actually shared a lot of cool things that she's doing with the Canadian space mission to put a satellite in space to help them complete a quantum experiment. And that was exciting to hear about. And so that was a very great episode. If you want to learn about quantum, that episode right here, Quantum Computing 101, I highly, highly, highly recommend that one. And then we closed out the season with a wonderful finale guest. We had former CIA Deputy Director of Digital Innovation who led and spurred the CIA's projects and programs into AI. But Jennifer Eubank was our finale guest, and a phenomenal conversation with her that I had. And then going back to AI, we did have some guests that, Andres Murillo, who is a cybersecurity research with AI with Fujitsu. We had AI auditing with Shay Brown. So we've had a lot of different folks also talk AI, but we definitely finished strong with a lot of conversations around quantum. And that is something I want to do. I want to talk about emerging technologies more. I want to give people the insights and kind of, clarify myth, fact and fiction and myth versus what's reality with these technologies. But a great season, a heartfelt thank you to all my guests from season four. You all have made a tremendous season offering people that watch the podcast insights into both not only what the work you do, the tremendous work you do in cyber, but also into your careers and how you got started. And that's really my favorite question out of every podcast, folks, is the day one question. What was the day one for these folks? Because when I'm interviewing them, they're level 99, they're at the top of their field. But when we go to their day one, we're starting out what was the story behind the decision to go all in the IT and cyber. And that's one of my favorite questions. So when you do watch any of these podcast interviews, just know that that's one of my favorite questions to my guests is to hear their day one story. But now we're on the cusp of releasing season five. And so season five is again starting with a massive guest. So I'm going to give you a little teaser, some of the guests that we have coming in season five. So first up, we have the world's first hacker transhuman, Lynn No. And if you haven't heard about this gentleman right now, just Google him, go on YouTube. Earlier this year in 2025, we at DEF CON in Las Vegas, he debuted his documentary that's out right now, and it's actually at a few film festivals called I Am Machine. And Lynn had opened his life up to share his life story and discuss being the world's first hacking transhuman. So he has 11, and I believe that probably before end of this year it'll be 12 technology implants in his body. And when you watch any YouTube videos or any of the numerous news articles and interviews with him in it, he goes through different things that he could do with these implants. And it's amazing how this man is literally the convergence of human and technology, and he's leading that forefront. And just it's an amazing story. So if you haven't heard about Lindo, take a moment, Google the guy. He's episode one. He's going to open up season five for us. And then we just go on to several great guests. We have like Dr. Zero Trust himself, Dr. Chase Cunningham. We have Prob Nair, who was the Cybersecurity Educator of the Year this year. We have Philip Wiley, who's going to talk about pen testing education. Daniel Ragsdale, and then Lisa Landau, an award-winning cybersecurity expert. She's won multiple awards, and she's doing great work in cybersecurity. One of the most interesting conversations I had was with an author that does cybersecurity article research and what I would call investigative journalism into tech. Jeff White had a book that we talked about, which was called Crime Meets Tech, We talked about some of his other publications and his research, but it was a super riveting and interesting insight into the world of crime and cybercrime. And so that is an episode I highly recommend people to put on the radar to check that out when it comes out. And of course, one of the most exciting guests that had just a wonderful and the most intriguing guest actually was Tammy Harper, who works for Flare.io, and she is a dark web researcher. And to hear her like what her daily schedule's like and the amount of work and effort it takes to do dark web research, it is just mind blowing. And so a stack of great guests. There's so much more coming in season five because we're going to have another 25 episodes coming for you. And what can I say? Again, just looking over the guests that I just had in this past season, thank you to them, and thank you to my guests that are about to upcome in season five. So, folks, I've talked long enough about it. And so, with that, this recap is done for season four. And now let's begin season five with Lynn No.